Hi, Mark. We're talking to you. You're in the States in the middle of what's been an absolutely massive tour for you. You've been all over the place. How are you going?
Yeah, going really good. I just flew into Oregon today, Redmond, Oregon, and never been to Oregon before, but I have flown over the desert and the Sierra Nevadas, I think, which are behind California. And because I missed a flight last night, not I missed it, the flight was delayed, so I had to stop over one night, so I had a bit of a longer leg, but yeah, no, it's been a big trip. Started off down south and worked my way up to Kentucky and then Minnesota and then now Oregon and then to Idaho after this and then to the Western States Horse Expo. So yeah, it's been a big run and it's pretty full on, but certainly meeting a lot of nice people and everyone's looking after me well, so that's good. And yeah, certainly getting my hands on a fair few horses and yeah, managing to help out, which is great.
Oh, that's great. Good to hear. I know you've had a really, really long day. You were up sort of at 4 o'clock in the morning to get that early flight to catch up. So thanks for doing the podcast with us. We'll get straight into it. This particular podcast is going to answer a couple of questions which have come through from our members. They're both sort of on the same topic. They're both having problems with their horses, getting them to transition into a faster gait and maintain that transition. So this episode is all about maintaining motion. When you're going into a faster gait, either from the ground or under saddle, this is for the horses that suck back, that hop into it, they get a bit defensive, maybe they stop or crow hop. This episode is going to give you some help and some answers for you to try. Hello, welcome to Mark Langley's Horsemanship Podcast, a podcast helping people to understand their horses better, to provide positive training solutions for a happier horse world for all. I'm Jenny Langley.
And I'm Mark Langley.
So, Mark, let's break this down. Maybe you can shed some light because I'm, not very skilled in this area. Just enlighten me. If a horse can walk forwards easily and freely enough, why then can't they trot or canter consistently? What's going on here? What's the difference between one speed and the next faster one?
Okay, so first of all, I'm going to rule out pain. So the reason I'm going to rule it out is because all my answers are more the psychological training side answers, and I think that's something that the people should find out and rule out themselves if it was a pain thing. Because I'd hate to be saying someone to do something if there was an issue in the horses physically. But basically, one of the biggest reasons that I see horses struggle going forward faster or maintaining forward faster is the reason why are we running? And that's why you see with a lot of people working that they can push and drive and make their horses scared and they'll run, and then they've got to hold them back. But the horse has that kind of flight instinct that's making it run, so of course it's going to run. So when you've got a horse getting up to speed and it's like it's not running away from something, then it's got to go, well, why am I running? So a walk's an easy gait for a horse. They walk here, they walk there. So walk's the one that they can sort of do any day of the week and have no troubles. But the biggest thing when the horse speeds up, the one big thing is processing speed. So their ability to process things at speed. So, say for instance, a cautious horse or a horse that's nervous in a new environment, they're going and also if they're not following a herd or they're with a herd walking through a new environment, they're kind of in front of you out there on their own, and everything starts to go past them faster, and it can be kind of overwhelming. So they've got to slow down. And some horses, when they're going forward, they have to slow down to process the things that they're going past, especially if they're new things. So that's why when I'm working on building good forward, I might work in the same environment for a while, so the horse has been there quite a few times, so I can kind of rule that one out. So processing speed's a big one, and also the lack of understanding of the forward aid. So leg aid and things like that. So some horses are still a bit irritable about the legs. They don't really know how to go forward nicely off the legs. So then when they sort of slow down, we squeeze them. They think backwards. They get a bit narky and they don't want to go forward. So that can be another big reason why the horses don't go forward, is because sometimes when we're squeezing them or pushing them, their thoughts are going back on the the aid that's pushing them forward, because their legs are behind them, their thoughts go back on that. So instead of carrying a nice soft forward thought, they go back on the aid, and if they don't understand it very well, they focus on it, and that causes them to slow down because their mind goes backwards instead of forwards. So that's another big reason why horses slow down, and when we're kind of using our aids too much and the horse doesn't understand them, then that can actually slow them down. Sometimes riders can get in the way of their horses a bit when they speed up and stuff. So instead of following your horse nice and smoothly, we can sometimes feel like we're moving around a lot. And sometimes for an unsure horse, or a horse is still a bit sensitive, they can slow down. But there's so many reasons why they slow down. I guess I always just look at, when I look at a horse, I go, oh, this horse is very cautious of its environment. It's going to have a slow processing speed for a while. Gee, when you squeeze that horse, it's got a really hard backward thought. Of course, it's not going to go forward. There's also the other thing too, is when the horses do get a certain amount of anxiety, they hook onto the last place of safety. So when their thoughts are somewhere else, and we want them to go forward, and then they're fighting against it because their mind is on the last place of safety, and that'll always come back to an anxiety in them, a lack of confidence, a lack of understanding of what we're asking them, and that's why they hook onto the last place of safety. So, and then they'll lose their impulsion from that.
Okay. You've given us quite a few things there to consider, but one of the first things you talked about was, and it seemed to be one of the main ones, is how their ability to process, and if they're processing enough, and if they're able to process. So I know you get that, but how can someone like me tell that the horse is uncomfortable, that they're not able to process what's happening? What are the signs that you're looking for?
Well, a horse that kind of stops a lot, it's one of the biggest things. They'll just stop a lot, or you'll see them kind of look at things and just slow down, and it feels like everything's pushing against them a little bit. Because they might be just a bit spooky about the things in front of them, and then it pushes back against them. So then they slow down. Some horses just kind of hide away and internalize a bit, and they'll be okay somewhere, and then somewhere else they'll just go really kind of quiet. And yeah, the other thing is they do a lot is they just focus on us all the time. They don't want to think forward, and I think some of the horses that have learned to shut out, they actually don't process their environment. And it's a tough one for some people to read, because the horse just goes in and looks quiet and doesn't do anything. Or some go in and just like go in an arena and they just look off in the distance. And then when you actually take them out of that mindset, all of a sudden they sniff the ground and they sniff it and they go, oh, geez, I was scared of that thing over there, and I was worried about that. But they won't tell you that, because they're kind of in this kind of like it's like they're hiding, like a turtle hides inside its shell. So those horses, you kind of don't know they're scared, because they're not really going, oh, geez, everything's scary. They're just kind of just hiding a little bit and feeling very, shut down or insecure. But generally, they're not looking around and thinking, and not in the environment. You can see them not processing what's ahead of them. So that's when the whole environment overwhelms them enough not to think at all, or shut out. And that's a tough one. But yeah, so you just notice them. I was just guess there's so many different signs, isn't there? Like some that are just they're scared of everything, and some horses, like there's two types of horses. Some horses I've ridden, they want to go towards what they're scared of to check it out. Others see something scary, and the first thing they do is go, "Where's my friends?" or "Where's my last place of safety?" So they don't even process scary things. They just think backwards. So and all those things can contribute to that forward so much.
Okay, and you also mentioned about legs. Sometimes they might not be ready, or they might be comfortable about the legs. So I know that some horses can get quite defensive when people ask for more energy. And so, can you explain why they might get defensive? Maybe could be on the ground too, like when they're asking them to lead up. Why would they get defensive at the faster speeds?
Well, I think so. Once a horse is walking, it's easy to carry that forward thought, because it's a speed they can cope with. It's easy to do. They do it all the time, so they can walk. Then when we want them to go faster, they have to hop. They have to go into another gate, and they have to know that aid is they're very comfortable with that aid. And most times I just don't see people or horses that haven't had enough time spent on them really understanding the forward aid and being comfortable with it. And some horses have learned to go forward very effectively off the aid, but because the person either had spurs on or they whipped the horse a bit with a stick to be effective, they made the horse a bit frightened. So then the horse is actually kind of a bit worried about the aid, which gives them more anxiety, which then gives them more separation anxiety because the anxiety of the go forward aid. Or and in the other case, other horses that just people haven't spent enough time getting to really truly understand that means forward. And I think also in teaching a horse to go forward off a leg aid, off a belly rope, or anything like that, you've got to actually do it until the horse carries the forward thought. So basically, if the horse is kind of walking, well, it walks okay, but then you squeeze it, but it still doesn't have a nice forward thought to that leg. It might think back and get a bit funny. Then it's going to find going into the trot harder. So then when you actually find the trot and you're in the trot and the horse goes to slow down, it doesn't just step up to the trot again nice and freely. So because a lot of times I see, and another thing that happens which causes those aids to weaken, I find, is people don't spend enough time on one particular aid. What I mean by that is it's very common to see someone do a seat aid, then a leg aid, then a light heel aid, and then because the light heel aid doesn't work, they go to a stick aid and they kind of hand it down the line, and eventually the horse goes off the stick. But throw the stick away and you never really committed to the leg and got the horse to really search through the heels or the legs. So then your leg aid is still very flimsy because it was backed up by a stick aid. But then if the stick aid didn't work, how far do you send it down the line? And unfortunately, a lot of horses are trained using that approach, which means when you do have to commit to any one, the horse hasn't really found the answer through it. So then when you really want to go forward and they feel a bit funny about that aid, they'll just sort of suck back and you won't be able to sort of bring them right through because we haven't committed to that long enough. So, you know, that's why we really got to commit to one thing at a time until the horse gets it and responds to it. And it's not just getting it. And if you want a horse to maintain a trot, you don't just get it just kind of gently work its way up to trot through, you know, bumping and hoping it gets to trot. You actually have to work on the transition from standstill to trot till the horse can squeeze up really nice and brightly, and you just squeeze it up and the accelerator's working really, really nice, really crisp, not frightened, very comfortable. And when that horse just goes yes up into trot like really good, then maintaining a trot's going to be a lot easier because when the horse goes to fall out of trot, you only have to squeeze it and the horse goes yes I can trot. Whereas a lot of people go, well, I've got my horse going to trot, but I think it's not as the aid's not as soft and as effective as it should be, and so I think working, you know, my horse can go from walk to trot, good, I've got that going. Can it go from standstill to trot? Can it go from standstill to fast trot? You know, before we even think about maintaining that trot, we have to have that accelerator working exceptionally well. So, like anything in any parts of horse training, you work on the transition a lot until it's really good, and then when you go to maintain something, the transition is working so good, the tool that helps the horse maintain it is working. Whereas I don't think we work on the transition enough. So when the horse is trotting it and all these other elements come in, then the tool that maintains it is not good enough to really work as good as it should.
So interesting. Okay, we'll go to the questions. And the first one is from Katie. She's from the States and she is someone who asked for help a few months ago. It was regarding her mare that would get stuck and she wouldn't move forward. So you asked her to work on perpetual motion. And now she's been doing that. I think she's thrown away her legs so that she can just get her to move forward through the reins. And she's got to the point where she's now working on the trot and now asking to maintain the trot. Now, normally her mare is going to go into the trot nicely, but when she's asked to maintain it, she'll either get stuck and stop or crow hop a bit. So this is where Katie makes a point not to use her leg anymore unless she's asking for forward or telling her that walking isn't available. She says that her mare will usually give her those no answers a couple of times in each direction, but then she's over it. So Katie's wondering if the occasional getting stuck or crow hopping when she's asked to maintain the trot is something that she needs to work through with her, or if she needs to go backwards a little bit.
Yeah, okay. So just for all the listeners out there, the perpetual motion was created through the reins, and in the environment that you're trotting your horse in, if you've just worked on the reins to get perpetual motion, doing one rein starts, then technically your horse is walking everywhere in that arena without any resistance or fearful spots. So if that's cleaned up, then you've got a clean slate to trot your horse in, and your horse has been everywhere. So the next thing is, I have a feeling by the sounds of what's happening, like I've just explained earlier on, you have to work on an exceptional walk to trot and stand still to trot, and don't worry about maintaining trot until you know it's a very good transition into the trot. Okay, so you can just pick up on those legs and that horse goes, yes, I can trot. And then you just slow it down again. Yourself, you slow your horse down. Don't wait till they slow down. You slow them down and then go for a nice trot, slow down, go for a nice trot, slow down until it's working. Yes, 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 yes. So you've done 50 transitions, for instance, where you've slowed the horse down and said trot, and you could change the speed or intensity of that transition, and then once you've got that happening really, really nice, you might just sort of offer one side of the arena to maintain, and you might find your horse maintains it. I think when I say walking's not available, I would allow the horse to walk before I say walking's not available, and then I'd sort of get the horse up. But maybe for the horses that have that little bit of a habit where they sort of want to suck back a little bit, I'm deliberate on doing something before they suck back, interrupting their thought through that slowdown, or even a turn. Like you might turn them and slow them down, but you kind of know how long they trot before they sort of go, no, I'm not going to do it anymore. And then before that happens, you interrupt them and then say, oh, now can we trot out here fast, and then slow down, and maybe over there can we trot out fast, and as I say, work on that repetitive transition till it's really, really good. You can go back to a belly rope lesson too and just double check that, because sometimes I find in the belly rope you can find a few holes where the horse is still a bit sticky on the rib cage and uncomfortable, and so wake her up a little bit in the belly rope and then get her to lead up until she can sort of push out really nice in that belly rope and travel forward. And I think going between the two also helps some horses that have been quite sticky in the rib cage and not getting that nice forward thought.
Fantastic. Next question is from Cursor. She's again from the States. She would love to see how to get a horse that's resistant to the canter online, learn how to move more softly using a belly rope. So she's got a mare who will go into the trot easily online, but once she transitions to the canter, it's something that she's not willing to do. So she asked for more energy using the lead up approach, and that seems to make her defensive. Even though she hasn't kicked at all, it feels like she might turn and put her butt towards her. She's a sweet little mare, and Cursor would just like to find a way that they can both be safe and still help her to find the canter online.
Okay, so there must be something going wrong in the lead-up approach if the mare's turning to kick. I would say if I had a look at her, I would probably work on her lightening up a bit more in that lead rope. The lead-up approach to get a horse to go walk, trot and canter is actually, it is fairly difficult. I've worked with people at clinics and they found it hard even at the clinic with me stepping in and helping them. It's really, really good for the horses. And like there was a horse just at this last the clinic in Minnesota that I just did, a big warm blood. He was trained through drive and draw horsemanship, but then he's also been trained in dressage where he's kind of like held and pushed into the bridle quite a bit and jammed up. And in online, like he'd kind of want to run off and just get really heavy, but he didn't lead up very well when you actually asked him to lead up. But when I really picked up on that lead and got him to soften and come forward properly, when he did finally, now this wasn't canter because he wasn't ready for the canter, but when he did finally find that trot, he just loosened up, he stretched out, and he was really kind of engaged and really paying a lot of attention to that lead rein that I let him out on. And it really helped him by getting him to lead up properly through the lead and find his trot. He softened up a lot. But it was a tough tough lesson for someone who doesn't do it all the time to sort of take on board, especially with a horse that's so big and had a big pullback. So basically, I just do little lead up lessons until that leading's exceptional. Like I might just sort of be walking along and hold the lead close and say, hey, slow down, speed up, and get the horse really, really loose and soft until you can speed up a little, get them out a bit and come back and get them working really soft on that lead line, because they shouldn't be turning to kick you in that sort of setup, because you're not kind of trying to push them out in the drive line. You're actually just leading them up past you. So there's probably still a lot of tension in your horse's head and worry about the lead. So I don't think the leading's working well enough to pop your horse into a canter, because it wouldn't be doing that if the leading was really soft. So I'll give you two scenarios. Do your leading work until your horse can go past out and go out in a straight line and then turn and then like get your horse out on a long line through leading out past you at a walk, and get them to trot up and then slow down and trot up and slow down on that circle, so you can push that rope forward. They trot up and then you deliberately slow them down, and keep working on that. Like I was talking about the riding lesson, work on the transition from walk to trot till it's really kind of got a lot of push and it's really going really well, and that horse is really trying to catch up with your shoulder. And when you put the kink in the rope and that knot goes forward, the horse is really trying to catch up with it and get it in the right position. And when they're really interested, you can set up the way you walk till they find the canter, but it takes a bit of work and effort. But without effort, you're not going to, you can do it the easy way, chase them around with a flag and get this canter where they're just looking out to the outside and kind of frightened. Or you can work on this, which will take you more days. But by the time you get it, your skill set will be a lot better, because you worked hard on good leading, and your horse's skill set will be a lot better and it'll trust that lead rein a lot more. But as I say, it's a bit difficult. But the easy way is cutting corners half the time, so you've got to be careful with that. Belly roping, when I was in Germany a couple of years, or more than a couple of years ago anyway, when I was in Germany some time ago, I did a lesson with a lady. She'd done a lot of online work with a horse, walk, trot and canter, but she had the horse didn't canter very well online. So I said to her, how about we just do the transitions with the belly rope, and we put a long belly rope on her, and she just changed the way she walked, trotted and cantered and did her transitions online, because she was used to the driving pressure, in the drive line, that loin area. And I think it was just making her a bit stiff and worried. But when we just said, just go off the feel of a belly rope, she really softened up and got a nice canter. So you can go back to a long belly rope and just, get them to sort of go, do their walk, trot and canter transitions from a belly rope. And that works really nice too. But also the good thing about that is you're helping the horse understand that rib cage pressure to go forward and go faster.
Fantastic. There's some really good specific tips there for everyone. So I hope that helps if you've got a horse that you're trying to transition, go faster with. Mark, do you remember we talked about a horse a while ago, a couple of weeks ago, that was not able to go near a river because there'd been a predator, maybe a cougar?
Yes.
So the owner of that mare got in touch with us and said, please tell Mark it only took a couple of hours to get her to choose to walk forward down the path of fear following his method. The only telltale was an ear that kept flicking towards the top of the bank. The defining moment came about 2/3 along the way when she let go and walked freely forward. Isn't that fantastic?
Wow, that's great. No, it's really good. It's nice to hear that, because all these situations, and I guess the good thing is, I remember that, because I remember we were using the let the horse have some room to make to sort of be able to know safety's available, and then bring out the curiosity and that's really good. This works. Nice to hear stories like that, because you're kind of working with just a question coming from somewhere else, and you're not even looking at the horse, but it's good to know that it worked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's crazy enough to think that people are out there riding horses with cougars around, but this guy Tyler actually sent through an absolutely incredible photo of the two of them. And what he does is he goes for walks with this mare. He had to do a lot of walking for his own health reasons, so he ended up taking her as he was bringing her along. And they would walk for hours. And in the end, I think there were like hundreds of kilometers they've done together. And he doesn't even need to have her on a lead. They just walk, and they just walk together. And there's this amazing photo with these beautiful, enormous mountains, snow-capped mountains that they're walking into along this road, just like no one around, just him and his horse in this wilderness. So I'm going to put that photo up so everyone can see it. But just amazing. And now, she's got over her fear that was near the river and, found that forward walk. So that's really good. People out there.
Oh, it's great. It's just being able to work with them, create the right boundaries but the right amount of space to make good decisions. And you get so much done with them. But that's lovely, Toll. I'm glad. I'd love to see the photo myself. Actually, it's it's cool.
There's somewhere to go. So put that on your bucket list. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, I'll leave it there. So much for everyone out there listening to this podcast. We hope it's been helpful. We'll be back next week.
Thanks, Jenny. Thanks, everybody.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please like it, share it, or send us a comment. It all helps in reaching new ears and helping more horses. And if making a change in your horse appeals to you, Mark offers his direct support and a diverse learning platform. Head to marklangley.com.au and grab your 7-day free trial.